If you or someone you know needs help, call 988 or 911 for troubling thoughts or immediate help, or contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at worldwideweb.thehotline.org or call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233.
Well, that is Sarah Gilson there accusing her husband of being a pedophile to more than 30,000 followers. The post is part of a social media trend that mimics Netflix documentaries as people pretend to sit for an interview. After posting this, Gilson was dead, shot by her husband, Jeremiah Duffy, according to police. He then took his own life. Gilson had been granted an emergency protective order against Duffy in June after he was accused of molesting a minor.
The North End.
Police saying a man killed his wife and 7-year-old daughter at their house this morning. The two found dead downstairs, the entrance to what was the couple's in-home daycare. Records show they opened in 2019. Police also saying a parent dropping their child off witnessed the crime and called 911.
Any event involving the loss of life is a difficult process, but when children are involved, it's especially devastating.
The city's chief saying 6 other kids were there and escorted to safety. The suspect later killing himself upstairs.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once again to my channel, Stop Effing Killing. I'm your host, the MOD, also known as the Method of Delivery. Please like, share, and subscribe if you find anything that resonates with you. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about domestic violence. And the title today is Don't Be a Coward. Again, don't be a coward. Now, the thing is, there have been multiple domestic violence related incidents in this country. Very, very high profile incidents where men and some women have unalived their partners, their intimate partners, their kids, all of this stuff. And in particular today, I want to talk to the men. I want to talk to the men because statistically speaking, women are more likely to die from intimate partner violence than any other method of death in this country. Men, you're a coward if you beat your wife. You're a coward if you beat your kids. Now, we're not talking about disciplining your kids when they do wrong. I do believe in corporal punishment to a certain degree and, other forms of punishment for children that are misbehaving. But you don't abuse your kids. You don't abuse your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other, whoever that may be. And like I said, I'm not saying that women don't commit acts of domestic violence. I'm not saying that. But statistically speaking, men are far more likely to commit acts of domestic violence, up to and including taking the lives of their spouse, their kids, and even some of their relatives. And, as we saw earlier, a couple of these high profile cases where men have done just that. I just want to say that we all get angry. We all get angry at our significant other. I was married for a very long time, for 2 decades, over 2 decades actually. And I can't tell you how many times I got mad, how many times I became just angry and filled with all kinds of malice towards my significant other for whatever reason. But you know what I did? I walked away. I left the house. I went and saw a movie that I had been wanting to see. I went for a walk in the neighborhood. I went over a friend's house. I did anything but put my hands on my wife. I did anything but threaten her. I never threatened her with violence of any kind during our entire marriage, and even while we were dating. And she can't ever say that. But the thing that I did, more importantly than anything else, was I started over. I started over. She filed for divorce, and I didn't contest the divorce because the marriage was dead. However, after I got divorced, I knew it wasn't the end of the world. There are thousands upon thousands, there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of women out here in this world who are single and looking for somebody. A man of good character, a man of quality. And it's the same for men. You know, there are men out here who are looking for, you know, women of good character and women of good quality, because it just seems like in general, people of good character and good quality are few and far between. But I started over. I started my search again. Was it painful? Yes. Was it a symbolic death? Absolutely. Divorce is, you know, a union between two people. You know, a covenant with God, if you believe in God or a higher power. And when a marriage dissolves, there is a death there. You know, there is a symbolic death. And so, even though it was painful, I did start over. And I found somebody. You know, I'm happy to say that I found somebody. And if this doesn't work out, I'll keep looking until I find somebody else. And if that doesn't work, I'll find somebody else. Because I'm not afraid to start over. And that's my message to you today. You don't have to pull the trigger. You don't have to, you know, take the knife out and take lives. You don't have to do all of this stuff. You can start over. It's not going to be easy in many aspects. It's not going to be hard. And if you have, you know, some things that you know you need to work on, like anger issues or finances or, you know, trauma from the past, things that you have to work on it. But just understand that it's not the end of the world that you got a divorce or that you broke up or that you separated from your significant other, whoever that may be. You can start over. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward. Don't have this attitude of, if I can't have you, no one else will. Just understand that if you're that type of man where you do the things that you're supposed to do and you're a good man, eventually you'll run into who you're supposed to run into when you're ready for them. But taking people's lives, and in many cases your own, that accomplishes absolutely nothing. The world is still going to go on without you. If you take your own life, you know, your significant other, she'll move on. If you take her life and you still, you know, wind up living, you're going to go to jail. And you're going to spend a lot of time in jail. All because you were too afraid to just move on. Just move on with your life. A relationship, a marriage, a union, an intimate partnership, it's not the end of the world because it dissolves. It's not the end of the world because you get a divorce. It's not the end of the world because she doesn't want you anymore. In fact, if that woman or that man or whoever you're involved with doesn't want you anymore, good. Because now you know that that's one less person that you have to deal with in trying to find the person who you're really supposed to be with. So again, this message is for men, and I stand by this message. You can start over. Don't be a fucking coward. And by all means, don't take lives. Not in a domestic violence situation. Not because she doesn't love you anymore, or because she left you, or because she took the kids, or you invested all this money, all of this time, all of this energy into this relationship, and it didn't work out. There's always a lesson in everything. And in many instances, the lesson is you know 100% who you're not supposed to be with. My heart goes out to anyone who has lost an intimate partner to domestic violence, regardless of sex, race, creed, sexual orientation. Doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant because all lives are important. And it's going to take all of us to speak out against acts of domestic violence. I had a friend who I found out he was a domestic abuser. And we're not friends anymore because of that. Because I stand by that. If you're a person who beats your significant other, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Because you can make better decisions. And you can make the choice to not be a coward and not take lives. Because there is no you or me in this fight against domestic violence. We all have to stand together. And we all have to say no to domestic violence to stop the fucking killing. Thank you and have a safe day.